of set the stage, what is PPC? It's pay-per-click advertising. It is a very important part and component of selling on Amazon. And so there's a typical path that I've observed with myself, with you, Ken, and a lot of our friends that are in this community, uh, as it relates to PPC. And that is, everyone starts off self-managing, and they'll do this for a certain period of time. And then they'll kind of realize, oh my gosh, PPC is a mile deep and a mile wide, and I don't understand all of this. What do I do? A natural second step is to hire an agency, which we've done, and we're going to get into this. And some people stop there at hiring a PPC agency. However, some people, as their team grows, they may bring a PPC manager in-house. And so today we're going to go through all three of these strategies, share our experiences with them, and just share some positives and negatives that we've experienced. So, Ken, I laid out that path: self-managing, PPC agency, in-house. Is that how? Tell me about your PPC story.
Yeah, sure. So I would say that's probably accurate, or I mean, we're generalizing here, but yeah, it's pretty accurate. As you start out, and we're kind of like referring to, like, if you're starting out as an Amazon FBA entrepreneur, right? You start there first, and then kind of build on that. And as your company grows, as you're an entrepreneur, you wear 10 different hats, right? You're the marketing person, you're the finance person, you're the PPC person, you're everything. And as the company grows, you find your time where, you don't have it, there's no time left in the bucket. And so you have to start hiring out or partnering with agencies to take that off your plate. And one of those, probably one of the first moves, is PPC. It's probably one of the most important things, unless you're really, really good at it, right? Like, most entrepreneurs are like, that I know, that they're really, really good at like one or two things, maybe three, and then they're average at a bunch of other stuff. They can make it happen. And unless you're a rock star in PPC and you really enjoy spending your time in there, you should offload that, whether it's an agency or whatever is a good fit for you. My personal journey. So I started selling on Amazon back in 2017, and I self-managed PPC for, I would say, the first 6 months. And then, at the time, I knew nothing about PPC. My background, I was in engineering, network engineering, which is nothing about pay-per-click advertising or media buying. And so it was kind of a new space for me. I thought it was cool. I liked the concept of it, but I really knew nothing about it. So I had to learn and kind of figure it out on my own. And then as I learned and figured out on my own, I'm like, all of these other things I'm trying to learn as well.
And so I had this dream of having our PPC manager compensated based on some sort of profitability metric. And we weren't able to get to that with an agency, but we did move in-house. And Ken, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we pivot into the in-house piece, I want to speak on the agency side a little bit. Which, if you're in this space for a long enough time, you'll kind of notice a trend, and it's I'm talking space Amazon FBA. And so what I've noticed was, and this was through before we made this last pivot, actually before we hired I think the second or third agency, I literally interviewed 25 agencies. I think it was the better part of a month interviewing all of these agencies. And David and I had a series of like 7 questions I asked every single agency. I interviewed the largest agencies, two of the 3 largest agencies for Amazon FBA PPC, all the way down to a kid that had 2 clients, and everybody in between. And we compiled this massive list of data. And so what I'm going to share with you is it's all from interviews and factual data. And so what we found out was, and at the high level, I always try to think of, like, get in someone else's mind. We know, David and I know several owners of these agencies now. And so what you see is a trend: someone sells on Amazon, and then they find out that, oh shit, this is really hard. And then they're like in masterminds or other entrepreneur circles, and they're seeing other people that are other entrepreneurs that are maturing through their journey, and they're starting service-based businesses to serve clients in the Amazon FBA space. And so this is kind of this trend you'll see. And if you take a step back and think about it, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. You make a name for yourself. You have a YouTube channel. You do, you do whatever. You do these promotions, have a podcast, whatever, and then you start this agency. And then an agency at the end of the day is a business. It's a sellable asset, right? And the way to scale an agency is to get more clients. And so if you think of it in that case, like this agency owner is interested in scaling their business with clients, so they have a sellable asset at the end of the day. And whether it's easier than selling on FBA, I don't know. I've never owned and scaled an agency. I don't know. Maybe it is because there's a lot of people doing it. Maybe it's not. But if you think of it in that mindset of, hey, that's their number one goal is to get as many clients as possible, because that makes their company worth more money, right? And so that's kind of how I looked at this after we interviewed all of these businesses, and it kind of like, it was, the picture was painted very clear to me, like, oh wow, this is kind of how this works. And anybody that knows a lot about PPC, you don't want drastic changes. You want very gradual, small changes. And so we had a solid implementation plan that covered like a 90-day window. And we worked methodically to do that. And so I was gonna say, if you plan on doing, if you're with an agency now and you want to go in-house, or if you're in-house, you want to go with an agency, I would just say, make sure you have some kind of an implementation plan. So there's no like just drastic swings. You'll be rewarded on the other side of this if you spend some time planning.
Ken and I's experiences with PPC over the last 5 or 6 years, and we certainly have made a lot of pivots. And hopefully, as we share our story about the moves that we made, you are able to take some of this information and make a decision that is best for your business.